Alright, guys, I'm gonna jump right into it. Not gonna waste any time here because I do have quite a bit to say about this, and I think that this is something worth covering because it's indicative of a larger picture, a larger problem at. So, you have this clip from Mike from PA, and you have AB responding to it. Ultimately, I think I'm gonna just play one part of this clip from Mike.
Now I have a question for you, chat. If Mossad was looking at the fight between Ethan Klein and Hasanabi, who do you think Mossad would side with? And I think that's pretty much, you're on the side of Mossad, AB. You're on the side of the IDF. I don't care what your personal opinions are. I'm talking about the work you do day in, day out for a living. You are, and this is no exaggeration, literally selling out your own people. That's sad.
That last part is what I think kind of kicked off AB's response. I think looking at AB's actions are more important than just looking at his words. He can say whatever he likes, but his actions show where his true loyalties lie. It's about what AB does every day. It's about what he does on the podcast. His personal opinions and his actions contradict. They simply do. AB claims to be pro-Palestine. I believe him. I believe that he believes himself to be pro-Palestine. I believe that he feels he is pro-Palestine. It's just his actions that don't line up with that. AB responds and he says, I cannot believe the amount of stupidity and delusion in this 4-minute clip. Allow me to address some of the claims made by this person. One claim was that I am mad at Hassan Denhams and that I am mad at Mike himself. Please provide me with a single clip where I said anything bad about Hassan or Denhams. So even if you can't provide a single clip of AB directly insulting those two, what AB does do is he sits quietly while Ethan insults those two. While Ethan harasses and tries to deplatform people he does not like. Ethan has been trying to get Hassan deplatformed for months. AB, if he does push back at all, it is very slight. It's very light. His words, that being him never directly saying something bad about Hassan or Denhams or Mike or anybody. But he doesn't try to counter when Ethan lies about people. He doesn't push back at all. None of the crew does. I have seen far more instances of the crew sitting quietly while Ethan goes off on his tirades than I have seen of them trying to push back, trying to counter his narrative at all. So if there is some sort of resistance there, it is not effective and is not an efficient one. Ethan is his own person. He can say whatever he likes. I don't expect the crew to control what Ethan says. I do expect the crew to have some balls, to have some fucking guts. And when Ethan is directly lying about people or directly lying about the situation in Gaza, about Israel being an apartheid state, about the genocide, when Ethan is directly lying about all of that, I expect the crew to push back. I do. Unless they work in an environment where they can't push back, where they fear retribution from their boss. If that is the case, then that is a whole other issue of which we would need to discuss. Now, isn't it? The crew is in a tough situation. They can't push back against Ethan. Like, I understand that. I understand that idea, but recognizing that idea means that we have to recognize that Ethan Klein is not a good person. He is not a good boss. If one is true, and that is that the crew is afraid to stand up and speak out against what Ethan is saying, not just on the podcast. But as you will see as we continue down this thread, they are also afraid to do so completely in a disconnected space on another platform where Ethan is not even present. They still will not state their opinion. Or at least AB won't. Which brings us back to this post. So AB continues, or provide me with a clip where I spoke negatively about Mike. It doesn't exist because I hardly know who the fuck Mike is. He defended me a few times on Twitter in the past, and I was appreciative that he spoke up for Palestine. Now, in retrospect, I see that he cares more about drama farming than actually helping the Palestinian people. I think that this is pretty disgusting of AB as well, to shit on another pro-Palestine voice in this space and try and paint him as doing it for drama, for clicks, for whatever, when his real gripe is with AB's behavior or with AB's lack of action in regards to Ethan. Which I think is a fair criticism. It's fair to criticize AB on that. It's fair to criticize the entire crew on that, but AB obviously gets the most criticism because he is the one who has been most openly and vocally pro-Palestinian. That is why this is happening. It's a result of him being the one who has been pro-Palestinian, who continues to claim to be pro-Palestinian very openly, and yet his actions contradict that. He then claims that I am on the side of the IDF. I have said a million times that I believe the IDF is a terrorist organization. He has said this. However, when Ethan says something contradictory to that statement, does he push back? Does he counter it? Or does he stay quiet, either because he doesn't truly believe that, which is not what I think is happening here, or does he stay quiet because he worries about losing his job, which is what I do think is happening here. I think that he is afraid to lose his job. I think that AB is afraid to speak up out of fear of losing his job, out of fear of pissing Ethan off and losing his job. So I ask again, what kind of work environment are you operating where your employees are afraid to speak up out of fear of losing their job? Again, if we recognize that the crew is in a tough situation, that they are unable to speak out against Ethan, which AB himself will bring up in this tweet, does that not mean that we are recognizing that Ethan Klein is not a good person and is a terrible boss and fosters a toxic work environment along with his wife? We can throw her in there as well at this point because she's also part of this. Is that not the takeaway from this? Either way, it doesn't make Ethan look good. Either way, Ethan comes out looking like a piece of shit. That's what's kind of funny to me about this post. Here. This person then has the nerve to tell me I am selling out my own people. Who the fuck are you to say I am selling out my own people? Is this Mike from the Middle East? I find it hilarious that Hassan and Denims have said to leave the crew alone because they're in a tough situation, but Mike somehow has the authority to speak for my people. This is the line that caught my attention. This is the sentence that set off radars in my head. It's the fact that he says, I find it hilarious that Hassan and Denims have said to leave the crew alone because they're in a tough situation. So, him using this in his argument here, to me, feels like he agrees with that. He's using this to boost his argument against Mike. So I have to assume that he agrees with what these people have said. Because why else would he use it to try and come against Mike? You wouldn't use something that you don't agree with. You wouldn't cite something that you think is not true. At least I wouldn't if I were making an argument like this. I wouldn't be like, here's this thing that I don't agree with, but these people said this, so you should shut up. To me, I'd be like, and also these people said this, and I agree with them, so you should shut up. Like, that's to me how it reads. But maybe I am reading into it too much. Maybe not. I'm going to assume I'm not for the time being, because if AB recognizes that they're in a tough situation, and he agrees that they're in a tough situation, what does that say about Ethan and Ela? What does that say about the work environment they have fostered? What does that say about the relationship with their crew that they have? To me, it says not great things. To me, it says concerning things, actually. Now, that is 100% just assuming that AB agrees here and that he's not just using this to come at Mike. That would be a little bit. It would weaken his argument, in my opinion, if he were to somehow come out and be like, I don't agree with Hassan and Denims. I think that we're not in a difficult situation. Which again is a whole other thing, because if he says that, that means that the crew that implies that the crew just does agree with Ethan. That means that they're not bothered by what Ethan is saying. If they're not in a difficult situation, then everything's fine. I get which doesn't read well for Ethan or the crew, but it's, again, either way, Ethan doesn't come out looking very good. And I think that's that's the point I really want to drive home here, is that no matter what, there's not really a good way to read these tweets that makes Ethan come out looking good. So that was AB's response. And then Mike responds with, you've participated in slandering all of us while your boss is actively working to get us deplatformed, targeted by the Trump admin, and you have openly acknowledged posting Free Palestine so you could block Palestine advocates here on Twitter. Here you boost a stalker account. Mike responds with that. And so AB responds with, LOL, did you retweet yourself? And this is where, again, I think AB starts to kind of show a little bit of his true colors. I get he's probably tired of having to defend himself, but as long as you continue to work for Ethan and continue to contradict your own words by working for Ethan, you're going to have to defend yourself in that regard. People are going to keep coming at you for it. It's not going to stop, because every day you get on there and you contradict what you say as your beliefs and your opinions, and you co-sign Ethan's bullshit by just sitting there and letting him spew it. You may not view it that way, AB, but that is how most people will view it. I can recognize that maybe from where you're sitting it doesn't look like that, but that is how it looks like to the majority of people from the outside looking in. It looks like you and the rest of the crew simply co-sign what Ethan is saying, or at the very least, what Ethan is saying is not a deal breaker to you. So Mike responds, Ethan Klein is saying hospitals in Gaza are Hamas command centers. Got any comment? That is Israeli propaganda through and through. Mike said that, and then AB responds with this. No, I don't. People don't usually speak for their boss. Is that normal in your reality? I want to make it very clear that no matter where you stand on this issue, if you read Mike's statement as asking AB to speak for Ethan, you are being disingenuous, or you are misunderstanding him. It is asking AB the question of if he has anything to say on what Ethan is saying, not if he has anything to say for Ethan. It is asking AB's opinion on what Ethan Klein has said about hospitals in Gaza. It is asking AB whether or not he agrees with this statement. This was a very easy moment for AB to simply say, no, I don't agree with Ethan. I think he's wrong. Ethan is not here. They are not on the podcast. Ethan is not, I mean, hey, maybe Ethan is sitting there right behind him, breathing down his neck. I don't know what they do all day. But this is on Twitter. This is not on the podcast. This is not with Ethan sitting right there looking directly at him, being like, hey, man, watch how you answer that question. This is on a completely separate place. And sure, will Ethan probably see this interaction? Yes, probably. Should AB be judged by what he says outside of his job on Twitter? No. Not especially not if he's saying something that is simply his opinion. If you think that AB was correct in dodging this question, that means that you think AB works for somebody who would punish him for answering this question, quote unquote, incorrectly. That means you recognize that Ethan Klein is a vindictive boss, is a petty man who would fire someone or punish someone for having an opinion outside of work on a separate platform that is disconnected from him. Instead, he completely twists the question to be something different. He dodges it. He dodges the question. He twists it to be like, "Oh, now you're asking me to speak for Ethan? You fuck you." And it's like that's not what he's asking. No, that's not what he was asking at all, you dumbass. I genuinely wish well for AB and for the rest of the group. I do. I wish for them to be free from this situation in whatever way that works for them. I think AB and the rest of the crew should leave. I do. I've thought that for quite some time. I think that sitting there and co signing Ethan's behavior is doing nothing but harming them and nothing but harming Ethan and Ela and everyone. I don't wish poorly on the crew. I just wish that this whole situation had been handled so much better from everyone involved. It's only a matter of time before people stop giving the crew so much grace. I think it's time to close this chapter of this story. I think it's time to move on from H3 for better or worse. If you are online acting like this, if you are online unable to say your own opinion, and I think that this is just AB being afraid to speak his own opinion because he's worried he will lose his job. There's very few other ways for me to take this. It's unfortunate, it's disappointing. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but if I'm wrong, then that means he just doesn't want to give his opinion here for one reason or another, and I don't really know what that is. Because I think that this would have been a very easy question to answer that would have put a lot of this to bed. A lot of like this is why people are upset with him. He claims to be pro-Palestinian when pressed on the issue, and it's like, okay, fine. So you're pro-Palestinian. Let's comment on this very specific thing that Ethan has been, claiming. Do you agree with this? And instead of just answering the question truthfully, he dodges it. That's a bad look to me. But I don't know. Again, I do think AB is pro-Palestinian. I don't think that he's not. I think he's just afraid of losing his job, which is unfortunate because that means that Ethan Klein is the kind of boss that would make you afraid to speak your own opinion. So, on that note, I'm going to end the video here. I don't really know. There's not much else you can say about this. Just going through the motions of being stuck in a job with a boss who you hate. Like, damn. Alright. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other videos. I did another video talking about Ethan's tattoo. I like to stream on Twitch sometimes. I'm over there every now and again. Hopefully gonna start streaming more, but come check me out. Follow my Twitter, my Instagram, all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's it. 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 Peace, love, and all that jazz. Don't be like AB. Don't be like AB because this was like the Trump administration comes up with better lies than this. Comes up with better ways to get out of answering a question than this. Bye, guys.